Well, there's been a blowout on a natural gas rig in the Gulf of Mexico, and it's forced dozens of workers to evacuate. Officials say it is still burning, and it's still out of control right now. The rig, they tell us, is about 55 miles off the coast of Louisiana. Environmental officials say the fire began last night, no word on what caused it, and they say part of the well has actually collapsed into the Gulf. Of course, a rig explosion led by the BP disaster back in 2010. For months, millions and millions and millions of gallons of oil poured into the Gulf. In this case, it's leaking gas. It's natural gas that's leaking. Officials say inspectors flew over the site shortly after the blowout and reported a light sheen covering about a half-mile of water, which they said was dispersing quickly. Steve Harrigan has more on this. He's in our Florida newsroom this afternoon. It sounds like it's starting to fall apart, really.
That's right, Shepard. This fire was ignited about 11 o'clock last night. It's been burning steadily since then. It's burning right now, and officials cannot say how much natural gas is escaping, being burnt. They can also not say when they expect this fire to be put out. And as you mentioned, that rig is already collapsing due to the fire. Some of the beams that hold up the derrick are collapsing, as well as the floor of that rig. This is certainly going to complicate any operations there. Specialty boats are en route to the scene. They're expected there this evening. They'll be using foam and water to try and put out that fire. There's also a discussion about drilling a secondary well, a safety well, where they could use concrete to try and tap this one well to plug it up. It's out of control right now.
But they're telling us it's no BP, Steve.
Some of the same parish officials who had to deal with that BP spill in 2010 are saying this threat does not pose the danger that that BP oil spill did to the region 3 years ago. And keep in mind that all 44 crew members were saved unharmed. They were evacuated by two lifeboats before the fire started. The Coast Guard already has a command center in place, and that sheen that you mentioned was light early on. Right now, the most recent observations say there is no sheen on the surface, but as we know from the BP, that doesn't tell the full story. Shepard.
Oh, it doesn't. Thank you, sir. Joining us now is Earl Hughes. He's the Director of Homeland Security and Emergency Preparedness for Terrebonne Parish in Louisiana. He worked on the cleanup after the 2010 Deepwater Horizon spill and is live on the line with us. Sir, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Shepard. How are you?
I'm well. Can we tell how bad this is yet?
Well, I mean, given the indications from the Coast Guard, we do have a blowout, and we have a well that is on fire that has a rig that's adjacent to it. But as long as the well is on fire, it's dispersing the methane, and also it doesn't cause a pollution source to hit the water.
Here's a new picture we just got into the thing. I guess you were so heavily involved in the 2010 event and became so well educated about these matters. I wonder if you could just give us your gut about how big a problem this is.
Well, we're not, and I heard the other reporter say that the parishes don't think that this is going to be as big of a deal as the BP oil spill. And it won't. It's not going to be. I mean, we have a rig on fire that has natural gas, not a crude oil, and the natural gas is at the present time it's on fire, so the fire is consuming the natural gas coming out of the well, and any of the condensate or the oil product that is associated with natural gas drilling. When at the beginning of the reports before the rig was on fire, they reported there was a light sheen around the rig.
Yeah.
Well, that was being caused by the condensate coming out of the natural gas well. And at the time, they were saying there was anywhere between 4 to 7 barrels per hour.
Mm-hmm.
The condensate is a very, very light oil. Once when it's on the surface of the water, wave action and direct sunlight will help deteriorate that sheen.
I want to ask you about the BP spill real quick, if I could, because I see the commercials that company puts. You cannot watch television and not see those commercials. So I know that BP is the greatest company that's ever been and the best thing for America in the history of the world. What is the on-the-ground situation there with long-term effects from that spill?
On the BP oil spill?
Yes.
At the present time, our parish wasn't affected as much as Plaquemines Parish was, right, or the Bush Parish, because we were further west than they were. But at the present time, we're still collecting tar balls that are coming on shore in small tar mats in the subsurface of the water along our coastline. But as far as, oil leaking still on the beach or being on the vegetation, we're not seeing any of that at this time.
All right. Wishing you all the best, at least until football season. Thank you.
Okay, Shepard. Y'all have a great